Calling case 1256960. People of the State of Michigan versus Joseph John Gentz. Defendants charged with count 1, homicide, murder first degree premeditated. Count 2, conspiracy, legal act, illegal matter.
And I would also like to place on the record part of the report of Dr. Charles Clark, PhD, board certified in forensic psychology, American Board of Professional Psychologists, and licensed psychologist. In terms of the competency, he states that at times in past years when Mr. Gentz was seen by mental health clinicians, the diagnosis of bipolar disorder was considered. While he has become excited, agitated, angry, and impulsive, as well as depressed at points in his life, I do not see any clear evidence in his history of bipolar disorder or any major affective disorder, and he was not exhibiting the signs or symptoms of such a condition at the time I examined him. There were no suggestions of psychosis, either in his records or in his current presentation. He appeared to be in good emotional and behavioral control with a rational understanding of his situation. Despite intellectual limitations, he appeared to be functioning within basically normal limits cognitively without pronounced or significant impairment, that is, mental retardation. His intellectual deficiencies do impinge on his general functioning to some extent, limiting his ability to secure and maintain competitive employment, for example, but they have not been so severe as to prevent him from exercising a good deal of autonomy in his life. He may lack the cognitive resources to fully appreciate without help the nature of all the decisions he has to face and the full range of alternatives and potential consequences, but he is capable of gathering and comprehending important information and making reasoned choices free of irrational understandings or emotionally driven impulses. While he may have a tendency to make up his mind and move ahead impulsively, he does appear open to advice and restraint. His memory appears to be basically sound. Mr. Gentz demonstrated knowledge of the nature and object of the proceedings against him. He understood the charges and all the allegations behind them, and he could provide a report of his own conduct if he was required or advised to do so. He demonstrated a basic, if not legally sophisticated, understanding of his rights and procedural options, of the nature and conduct of a trial, and of the role and function of court officers and others likely to be involved in proceedings. He showed a readiness to protect himself and his interests, and he indicated a willingness to seek counsel and advice in doing so. In my opinion, Mr. Gentz is competent to stand trial. Respectfully submitted, Charles R. Clark, PhD, licensed psychologist, board certified in forensic psychology, American Board of Professional Psychologists.
Your Honor, the people would stipulate to that finding and its conclusion, and the people would like the court to note that what was said by Dr. Clark was echoed in the report of Dr. Margot Gilbert, who indicated that during the current forensic evaluation, Mr. Gentz did not present with any significant disturbance and his mental status was unimpaired. His intellectual deficits were not so severe as to render him unable to comprehend the nature and object of the legal proceedings against him and to rationally assist in his defense. Specifically, he did not, and I want to repeat, he did not exhibit or endorse symptoms of bipolar disorder, depression, psychosis, or any other major psychiatric disorder. They did find that his scores were above the average range of mental retardation. Mr. Gentz demonstrated he had a realistic and factual and rational understanding of his legal predicament. He discussed his case in a logical and reality-based manner, and although his intellectual abilities are below average, he appeared to comprehend all the topics of discussion without difficulty, and he provided relevant, organized, and coherent responses and comments. He clearly grasped the seriousness of the case against him and the possible outcomes. Even when discussing topics that could evoke negative emotions and unsettling feelings, he maintained a good behavioral and emotional control. Dr. Gilbert also found that he was competent to stand trial.
The court makes a finding that the defendant is competent to stand trial.